Well, welcome back to Bride Arrays. We are continuing our look at Mark 7:14 through 23. And today we're actually going to look at part of that passage. So we're going to look at 14 through 15 today. So it says, "And he called the people to him again and said to them, 'Hear me, all of you, and understand. There's nothing outside a person that by going into him can defile him. But the things that come out of a person are what defile him.'" So you see Jesus gathering the people around here. So there's a big crowd that has gathered as he was talking to the Pharisees and scribes. They were in the crowd, and so he directly addressed them. Now he's going to address the whole crowd. So he calls everyone, "Hear me, all of you, and understand." Listen and understand. That's an important thing, because the problem with the Pharisees and scribes is that they were not really listening, and they weren't understanding anything. They were missing it. And so he tells them that eating with unwashed hands doesn't make them defiled or unclean before God. Right? But that's not the problem. So he says, that's what he's saying. There's nothing outside a person that by going into them, by eating that, can defile that person. But the things that come out of a person are what defile him. All right, so like the excrement. We'll see that in verse 19. He explains it a little bit better. But that's the idea. Like, just because whatever goes in you is not what's going to defile you. It's what comes out. So he doesn't explain this to the crowd, but kind of just drops, as it says in verse 17, this parable. It's really not what we normally think of as a parable, but that's what they call it. On them, this kind of phrase, it's kind of I guess it is a parabolic phrase, because he's not specifically talking about, which you'll see, he's not talking about what they're talking about, right? They're talking about, the fact that you eat a piece of food that's been defiled by somebody, and then you eat that, then you become defiled as a person, and before God, now you're defiled. And he's like, no. If you eat something, if you take something from outside and eat it, it's not going to defile you. What defiles you is what comes out of you. So when you use the bathroom, that's defiling. That would make you ceremonially unclean. If you go back to the law of God, that's what you find. They had to, if they're going to use the bathroom, they had to go outside the camp, and then they had to bury it, right? Because otherwise it would defile them. It would defile the camp. And so that makes sense, right? That's kind of what they're thinking. It's like, well, but if you eat this stuff that defiles you, he says, no. That's not even what the law says. It says if you use the bathroom, that's going to defile you. And so we see Jesus explaining this to the people. Like, this is something they should have figured out. That's why he's using this. Like, you understand this, right? This is what the law says. He's already sidestepping what the tradition of the elders is. He's already explaining to them, like, this explains what you're talking about. But then he's actually going to take it another step further, which we'll see in a minute here. Is that he's going to go beyond that. He is going to take it and make it into a parable, because now it's going to explain a spiritual reality. So it's a physical, real world story to explain a spiritual reality. And so this is probably one of the shortest parables that we have, just eating food and using the bathroom. So Jesus can use the common, ordinary, everyday thing to explain some great, amazing spiritual truths here, which we're going to see him do in the next section, which we will take a look at next time. So it's a short one, but we'll take a look at that next time.